Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Joanne Peplow. Joanne Peplow is an accomplished leader in the field of AI and analytics, and a valued platinum partner of ours at Capgemini. Joanne has extensive experience advising clients in multiple sectors on how to leverage data to drive value through AI and analytics solutions. Joanne's background in consumer product and retail loyalty, data and analytics consulting, and her qualifications as a chartered accountant with Big Four experience has enabled her to work on various projects internationally across Europe, USA, Southern and Central America, Southeast Asia, and Australia. In addition to her professional accomplishments, Joanne has a passion for exploring the world, and she is an avid traveler and a scuba diver. Although her travel plans have been put on hold since the arrival of her puppy and then her baby boy, she is currently embracing life as a new mother while enjoying being back at work. So today, Joanne will be sharing her insights and knowledge on career inspiration in AI, which will definitely be enlightening. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Joanne Peplow.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm Joanne, and I'm here to talk to you around my career, around data and analytics, but more just to kind of explain the multiple routes that there are in enabling you to get into such a career, and letting you see where that really goes. I will talk you through a bit of my experience, but I think the main point is to say that actually just go with it and let it see where your career can take you, and to do things that you really enjoy. So quickly, just a kind of welcome to me and to my journey. So like I said, I'm Joanne Peplow. I'm a director with Capgemini UK. I've been with Capgemini for 5 years now. I live in London in the UK with my husband, my 1-year-old baby boy, who you can see on this slide, and my 18-month-old dog. So I studied at a university in Birmingham. I did an international business and model languages degree where I took a year to study in France as well, which was an amazing opportunity. I then, straight out of university, joined Ernst & Young and began work in the insurance tax part of their business, where I qualified as a chartered accountant. I quite quickly realised that insurance tax was not my bag and not something that I was really passionate about. And so after 3 years with EY, I moved on to Nexacard, which in the UK is one of the largest loyalty cards in the country. I also worked for Coles in the US, for Sobeys in Canada, for CVS in the US, sorry, Coles in Australia, and multiple other retail and CPG companies, where I looked at how you could use data to really start to understand customer behaviour, and understand how you could influence and drive sales of certain goods and products within retailers or within CPGs. From there, I then began my career with Capgemini. And again, I've had so many experiences with them, through fashion houses, for huge multinational CPG organisations like Unilever. I've also worked a lot with the government. So loads and loads of different examples where data and analytics has been really at the forefront of some of the great thinking that those organisations have been doing. So I wanted to jump into a little bit around what is data and AI. So data is constantly being generated. So I wanted to ask people on the call of where have you created a data record this week? So if anybody wants to kind of participate, put your hand up, put something in chat to say where you think you've created a record this week. Say any interaction that you've had, be it with a supermarket, with a financial institute, if you've used social media at all of these sort of interactions will have created some sort of data record, which is where we start to learn from and we can use within analytics and AI products going forward. So like I said, data is constantly being created, either by us as individuals or by organisations. there's so much data in the world that sometimes people are getting caught up in thinking about the amount of data, but actually it's the use of that data that is really important. What we need to start thinking about is what are the analytics and AI use cases that data can use. So you can either use it to look backwards and report on what has happened, or you can use it as more predictive and use it as a future forecasting lens. Artificial intelligence and AI lets us bring in lots of multiple data sets to be able to analyze much faster those data sets and in a much more effective way than humans could ever do. But why does this all matter? So putting an example up here that many of you might recognize. What is it that Netflix uses AI and data for? Does anyone want to hazard a guess? Any participants out there that want to have a shout out? If not, we'll continue on. So Netflix's algorithms will start to look at what you've liked. Yes. Yeah, exactly like that. To remember the types of movies we've liked or even disliked. And what it does on the back of that is then look at what other people have liked or disliked and start to recommend things to you. So this isn't just used by Netflix, to recommend shows, exactly that. So it's not just used by Netflix. There's other examples around this on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all of those social media sites. They all have algorithms working in the background to take in those data points and to look who may have watched something similar and then have gone on to watch something else in that same genre. And that's where it is something that is really coming to a forefront of what everybody is using today. So moving on a little bit to start talking about your career in data and AI. So there are multiple skills and multiple ways in which you can enter the data and AI space. So there are the technical side of the skills. So these are data engineers, data scientists, technical architects, visualization developers, all the people that are dealing with the hands-on data that are really trying to get it into the right way, shape and forms for different codes, different models to be written for it. So that would be where the data scientists are coming in to build the architecture that data sits upon. So whether it's the platforms, the tools and the technology that need to go together, there's multiple layers of where all this needs to sit. So really understanding how that architecture of the technical side of things work. And then there's the visualization developer side of it. So how do I get the front end to the end consumer as well? So whoever that end consumer is, the example that we've just given is Netflix. So the visualization on Netflix, making it really clear and concise on what the recommendations are and what you think is coming next. Or it could be a simple report, which is giving the backwards view, the kind of backward lens of what we were talking about. So what was my performance last week? How many items did I sell? All those sort of things. So it's being able to tell that story with the data as well, which is really important. We really need to build trust in data. We need to make sure that there's the right quality of data so that that end story is always as accurate as possible. So again, that's a role for the data engineering side of things to really make sure that data is of really good quality, that it's complete, and that it can therefore be trusted by everybody. Just checking, is my sound okay? I can see that there's a comment on the chat saying that I'm dropping in and out. Can everyone hear me okay?
Sometimes we can, and then it just kind of goes a little bit intermittent.
Okay, I'm not sure what I can do about that. I'll persevere and hopefully it gets better and not any worse. Apologies for that. There's a question out there. No, we'll wait. I'm more than happy to take them at the end as well. So, but please think of any questions and pop them in the chat, and I can either answer the questions from the chat, or we can please come online and answer the question to me directly as well. I think Ashaz, did you have a question?
I think we should rather just have them at the end.
Okay. Great. So the other end of the scale are those soft skills which come in around data and analytics. So the consulting, business analysis, storytelling, and operating model design. So around the consulting side of it, so this is more where I sit right now, is really understanding what customers want from their data. What is the problem that they're trying to solve? So it's almost being that translator between the business end of things and the data side of things, so the technical side of things. So understanding what that business problem is. It may be a business process problem. It may be an actual kind of, we don't know how to understand computer vision, or we don't know how to use natural language processing, or we don't know how to create an algorithm to best recommend something. So it's understanding what that question is and being able to translate it back into the technical requirements. So what's the data that I need to be able to build a recommendation algorithm like the one in Netflix? What then are the models that I would bring into there? What are the technical aspects that I would need to build up that solution? Then we have business analysts as well. They're the ones that will, again, be questioning what that demand is, but working alongside the technical team the whole way through, ensuring that the output is the correct output, that we're still answering that question along the whole way. We then have our storytellers. So we've said that the visualization developer will create the technical side of the storytelling, but actually there is a role for people that are called genuine storytellers. And they're the people that can look at a data set and bring it into words and actually explain it as a story and the value that that data is showing. And lastly, there are then operating model designers as well. So around deciding what roles are required in an organization, how these people all work together, where responsibilities lie in the different ways of working. So when does a data engineer get involved? When does a data scientist get involved? All those sort of things. And then there's the people that kind of crash and meet in the middle. So those hybrid roles where they might have some technical skills along with some of those soft skills as well. And those are the really kind of valuable kind of unicorns in the world, I guess, that have some of both skills and are able to bring that all together. And what you might find throughout your career is that you travel along these, and excuse the graphic here, but what I wanted to show is that you may travel across the hybrid kind of landscape whilst you're going through your career. You may start in a very technical role, move over to something that's a bit more soft skills related because you're starting to understand a bit more the business, or you're understanding the use case. That may then shift you back into the technical side again because you want to learn a new technique that's come out or a new technology that's come out. Maybe you really want to get deep into something that's the buzzword at the moment, ChatGPT or something like that. So move you back across the spectrum again. And throughout your benefited from is saying, actually, what am I really interested in right now? Where's my passion coming from? And moving across that spectrum to be able to work on areas that I'm really, really passionate about. So I just wanted to quickly talk through the different areas of data and AI and where you can build your careers up from them. What I'd love to do is take some questions, whether people have got questions about careers, they've got questions about what I do within data and AI, what the different roles and responsibilities can be from those data and AI jobs as well. Anything that you'd like to ask, I'm more than welcome to ask those questions right now.
I'm not sure if you can see the Q&A section, Joanne, but we have 2 questions. So I'll read them out for you. The first one is from Ashaz. What is data engineering?
Good question. So data engineering is taking raw data and manipulating it or wrangling it into a way in which it can be used in data products or analytics products, AI products, reporting products. So ensuring that it's almost in that right format that you can then push it into the organization that it can be used. So if you think about potentially where you've used Excel before and you've written a number down in a specific way, but actually if you write it down with, maybe you put the decimal place in a different area, or you write it slightly differently, you won't be able to compare those numbers within your spreadsheet. So a data engineer is there to ensure that the data is written in a way in which it's consistent for the organization. It's also ensuring that that data is of a good quality, that that data is complete, because if we're trying to report back on something, or we're trying to create, for example, again, the algorithm from Netflix, if we don't have a complete picture of that data, the recommendation may lose some of that credibility because it isn't complete. So again, that's where the data engineer comes in. It's all about pulling data sources in from different inputs. It's about then ensuring that that data is ready to be used by the rest of the organization, and also ensuring that that data is of a good quality and of a good completeness, that it will give the right picture. Does that answer your question, Ashaz, or have you got a follow-up question to that one? So how is AI changing the nature of work, and what kind of soft skills are becoming increasingly important in the workplace? That's a really great question. So AI is definitely changing the nature of everyday work. And I think that the fact that we use chatbots potentially when we're trying to contact our IT teams or our HR teams and things like that. So the ability to answer questions using without actually approaching people to do it. So we do that when we approach any call centres or customer support services as well. So we in our kind of day-to-day lives, we'll kind of see those things. I guess from an automation and AI perspective, we are starting to use NLP a lot more within trying to see different patterns within how people are behaving and things like that. We can use things like computer vision to spot anomalies and things. So we've been working with an energy producer recently who have big factories that are miles away from civilization, and we've been putting in computer vision technology so that instead of a person needing to go and keep an eye on whether the machines are still working, they need to be continuously moving for the energy to be created. We can use computer vision that can spot instantaneously if something is going wrong and can alert whether there's issues going on. So yeah, it really is changing the nature of work. It's making those activities that don't need to be carried out by a human being, it's making those more available for AI to use, but also some of those activities that may be dangerous, I think it's adding to that safety factor as well. So I think there's definite opportunities to use AI further in work. And what are the kinds of soft skills that are becoming increasingly important in the workplace? Well, as I mentioned, I would almost call it the translation between understanding the business problem and being able to translate that back to the technical solution is so important right now. What we don't want customers to be doing is to be spending lots and lots of money on solutions which aren't then going to be used by the business. So that kind of translation role is so important to make sure that everybody is using the kind of the data in the right way and in the most kind of value driving way for the business. And again, that storytelling role is really important. I think if people really find it difficult to understand the story that the data or the AI product is telling them, they won't use it. They won't trust it. They won't use it. So a storyteller is a great role to put on your CV as well, to say that you're a storyteller. We're not talking kind of nursery rhymes and things like that. We're talking data stories. What is the story that this is telling us? Is it a positive story about growth and about opportunities for that company, or is it a negative story that we're seeing a downturn, or that we're seeing operational issues, we're seeing supply chain issues, those sort of things? So it's about telling the story with the data as well. What is the best option? To go to university or apply for a job and gain some experience without going to university in order to learn AI? guess that's a totally it depends question. Like I said before, I went to university, and I think there was a lot more from university than I learned than just the actual course that I did. It was great to kind of be away from home and learn how to look after myself, to make new friends and all of that sort of stuff. So I loved my university experience. I wouldn't necessarily say, though, that is the be all and end all to be able to gain that experience that you need in the world of AI to do a really good job. I know Capgemini, for one, we run an apprentice scheme. So it's a degree apprentice scheme. So whilst you work at Capgemini, you also earn your degree. And that works really well for others as well. They love being able to get into the real world of work, to get that experience, like you say, actually putting things to the test once you're learning them. But at the same time, they're still getting a bit of the university experience by studying and still gaining that degree. So there are those degree apprentice opportunities in lots of different organisations. And I'd encourage you to have a think about, what is it that you really want to get out of your university career, or are you really chomping at the bit to get into work and to have that experience of working and putting those skills that you've learned to the test? I guess the other thing with AI and with data analytics and with data engineering, there's an awful lot of opportunities to teach yourself those sorts of skills online. So there's loads of courses that are available already for you to kind of self-teach what you want to do going forward as well. So not necessarily saying that going to university to learn how to write code or how to do data engineering is necessary to learn those skills. You can find those skills a lot online to kind of teach yourself as well. So hopefully that answers that question. What is the data scientist's job? Well, again, that can be all sorts of things. So it does depend exactly what sort of project the data scientist is working on. So we have data scientists that are looking for very much kind of cutting edge ways of using data and AI products. So what their role could be within that particular project is looking at the art of the possible. Is it even possible to, so for going back to example to the energy company I was talking about, where we didn't know whether it was possible to use computer vision to acknowledge if the turbines had stopped or not. So there was lots of different things that we needed to test in the first place. There were hypotheses that we needed to write, and then we needed to go and look for the data for the different technology that existed out there to be able to say, actually, is this possible? And then actually, is it even operationally possible, which is the next look at it, to say, what is the cost of putting this into production for this company to use it? Does it actually do the costs outweigh the benefits? So that can be one data scientist's job, is to really be kind of prototyping. We call it proof of concepts. It's trying to think, well, is it possible to use data to answer this problem? I guess the next role that a data scientist could be looking at is, what we've got a model that already exists. Is it working as efficiently and effectively as it could be? Could we bring in more data streams? Could we use a different model? How can we bring this to more people so it's being used to kind of bring in more value? So there's more kind of, I guess the use case has been proven, but how do we build out the value of that use case? How do we enhance the models? How do we enhance the data science that's being deployed across the organization? So how can we build value there? So I guess that's another example of what a data scientist's job could be. But mainly it's looking for models and for data science or AI machine learning products that can be used by an organization to solve problems. So how do you know that the career path you've chosen would be most fulfilling to you? You don't. I don't think you ever know whether the career path you've chosen is going to be the most fulfilling path. It's a bit of a kind of jump into the unknown sometimes, and it's scary, but it's fun as well. I think you get a feeling when you go and you talk to an organisation, maybe you're talking to people at grad fairs or you're being interviewed. you need to make sure it's the right decision for you as well as the company wanting you. So I think one of the things that we do in Capgemini is that we have a probation period. And what I always tell my team is the probation period is both for us to decide whether you have the skills and the experience that we need, but it's also a probation period for you to make sure that you're happy in the role that you've chosen, because you can always change. So I think that it's one of those things that you never know what the future will hold, but you do need to sometimes take a little bit of a chance on it. So hopefully that answers that question. Could you please list specific functions of AI, like examples? I wanted to have a project with AI, but don't know what specific tasks AI is performing. So that's a huge question. So artificial intelligence, it covers all sorts of different genres and techniques and technologies. So like I've listed before, there's computer vision, there's natural language processing, there's graph analytics, there's multiple other technologies and techniques which fall underneath artificial intelligence. Projects with AI, so it may be that we call it an AI project, and actually when we get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it becomes an analytics project. Doesn't mean it's any less valuable, it just means that the kind of artificial intelligence side of it is maybe more analytics driven than it is artificial intelligence driven. So I would recommend looking at all of those different kind of functionalities within artificial intelligence and working out which ones are of interest to you. I have teams that specialize in particular areas because it's the area that really intrigues them. So we have a team that specializes in computer vision, a team that specializes in natural language processing, because it's those areas that really energize them and make them really want to read up of what the latest thinking is in that area and what the latest activities are that are going on. So they are really keen on those areas. Is an IT engineer relevant in AI? So I'm not quite sure what you mean by IT engineer, but the data engineer that I've spoken about before is 100% relevant within AI. Again, our models and our AI and analytics products are only as good as the data in which they are driving off. And so anything that involves data will definitely need some data engineering resource that goes alongside it as well. So my teams always work hand in hand with the data engineers so that the data that we're pulling in is trusted. It is as complete as possible, that if there's failures in it feeding into the models, we've got people that we can rely on to kind of build those pipelines and things coming in. So yeah, it definitely is. IT in the sense of a computer engineer, still not exactly. So hopefully my data engineer explanation is the kind of right explanation for that question there. So what path do we need to follow in university to work in AI? So again, I think what I was trying to show by that spectrum is that you can follow any path. It depends whether you want to go down a really technical end or if you want to go down the consulting end. I've ended up in data and AI, leading a team of over 90 AI engineers and data scientists through doing a business degree with languages. So again, it is very much around what I would say. If you want to go to university, do something that interests you in something that you're really keen and driven on, because that is something that you will then really flourish in. And that's what I did. I loved my degree. I was really interested in the business side of it. And I guess now that really helps me in being a consultant and understanding what the business problems are that then data and AI can answer. So that's the kind of area in which I've come at it. Is there high competition between IT specialists in the workplace? As in within customers or within organizations themselves? I'm not quite sure of what that question is trying to get to. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of IT organizations, Capgemini being kind of one of the consulting side of them, but obviously you've got Amazon out there, you've got with AWS, you've got Microsoft out there with Azure, you've got a lot of the niche players out there that are doing things that are more within the different AI technologies. you've got data providers. So there are businesses that will go across every single part of the demand within the data and AI space. So yes, there's high competition, but I think that high competition is also driven through high demand as well, if that makes sense.
Wow, I think that's the most questions we've had.
That was breath. I feel like that
wow.
was a treadmill of questions.
It really was, and I think you answered them beautifully. And just before we wrap up, I actually have a question I'd like to ask as well. What advice would you have for teens going to university or those wanting to enter the job market? What advice would you give them if they would like to go on and have a career in data and AI?
I think my main advice would be, don't be scared to try different things. Talk to people that are out there in the business already, go to different events, go to grad events, go to different webinars, different events that are taking place where you can speak to people. Like I said, there are so many different roles out there. There are so many different career paths that you can take. Don't try and decide what your career path is going to be too early, because I think the more flexible that you can be with having others help you mold that career path, the more kind of the more fruitful I think that career path will be for you. So yeah, I think my career path has been a massive journey to date. I don't think that journey's finished at all. I think there's lots more to come, and I'm really excited to see what the next opportunity is. And that's what I would recommend to others as well, is just definitely speak to as many people as possible, have as many experiences as you can, and then that will guide you as to where you're going to go from there.
Okay. One last one. What would you say has been the most fulfilling part about your job?
Oh, I love working with 90 very technical data scientists and AI engineers. I put my hands up every day and say to them, I could not do what you do, but I love learning from them every day. So I find so many different things out from them about how they've gone about solving a problem, about how they've gone about implementing new technologies and things. So yeah, just working with such a vast group of people that are so clever, so intelligent, and just lovely people as well to work with has been yeah, I love doing it every day. We'll come into work and be really excited to find out what's happening today, what kind of things are people going to land on my desk today. It's going to be great.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Honestly, thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and inspiring insights on career inspiration in AI. Your expertise and experience in this field has undoubtedly provided our audience with some valuable lessons and food for thought. But before we wrap up, I just wanted to remind all the teams that they should tune in tomorrow for an exciting day with Alana, Teens in AI's project manager, as she'll be having the Teens in Action Forum. So be sure to tune in to what promises to be another enlightening and educational session. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Goodbye. Right.